You shed the amounts you're paying, but you don't shed the liabilities. It's just we're going to use an example. They're talking right now about Michael Jackson's estate being hit with maybe $75 million in taxes. No, that's where you have a trust fund.
That's right.
Trust funds keep that happening. But see, this is how we would do things from the newspaper. So, and actually, now we're going to go to how it works with me getting ready to actually do Oldecam and Notaspringchick. She's going to be standing. She's going to basically, you're going to see her swing around and come in on the other side.
On the other side? Okay, I'm going to go this way.
Yeah. So this is what she would be.
They already know.
She would be off camera because
you want me to go totally off, or you want me to
no,
stay
you
right
want, we're going to be on camera this time. But see, my problem is I used to do westerns and World War II things when I wasn't dancing in bad movies, and my ears are in bad shape, and I don't hear quite as well. So we need her off to the side so I can actually hear.
Hello.
Okay. No, but sometimes I'll sit there and look like I'm stunned. Well, I can't hear what's being said, which is
that's typically what it is.
We can't hear it because a lot of times when we stop at the beach, it's because she can hear things perfectly because she's younger and got better hearing. I can't hear over the airplane.
Well, also depending on the position of the airplane, we've done it enough that based on the volume and when we're at the airport, you know, it's directional lights and things like that. But we can tell because we've done it enough when it's going to drown out the sound.
If it's too, my rights, we tend to keep the airport to our right side when we're at the beach.
Which we're hoping to get to really, really soon.
But sometimes, because of the wind, which is what we're having right now, which is one of the reasons we're not at the beach, is the airplanes fly right over the top of us.
Well, and then you get all the wind noise and everything, and you really can't.
You know, we're fighting the ocean, which is why we use it. We actually have double miking system. We have a wireless miking system. We have a landline system, and we have the directional mic. We tend to use the directional mic when we're at the beach, and we use the wireless where you can never figure out where it's on the swimsuit or body, of course. You know, she does have wireless mics when we're elsewhere, but you know, here we don't have the directional mic on because we're surrounded with a wall.
Well, actually, that's the great part about filming back here is we have we have an L shape around us.
Yeah,
and it's in a backyard. So, and then there's a house on the other side. Yeah. So there's not as much wind because even when I see some wind off to the side where I'm looking at the palm trees blowing in the wind, we don't get it right here where we're not.
This is where because it's at the moment because of El Nino. This time of the day, it wipes us out at going to the beach because the winds are so bad. It's not. The wind isn't necessarily our enemy because we do deal with the wind with directional mics. It's our camera lenses.
Oh, that too.
The wind will hit our camera lenses because of what we've got though is we've got a box on our cameras. You know, like you've seen these little rectangular things that are on it. They're not designed to have a screen put in front of it. So basically, what happens is that the wind drives the sand, and we can't afford to lose an $1,800 camera to the sand. So,
well, also part of it is the camera we have is the 3-chip camera for broadcasting, and we don't really have those in the size of camera that we have right now. Most of them are they're much larger.
They're
cameras.
1-chip CMOS, which basically gives you. They said it's a better quality picture and it saves on battery power, but you can't put it on. Everything that we do is available to be picked up by a network immediately. If you know we have something that they don't have, they can simply use our material instead, which is where we're in a business. We are a news service. We provide stock footage to people that want it. I mean, we're signed up with people for stock footage to deliver to them all the time. But we're gonna next we'll sit there and like I said, we'll join. We said Notaspringchick. She's went back behind the camera, went over to the outside.
Pretend I'm over there on the side.
And I sat there, and then the guy behind me,
he
sits there and points out the fact that I got something stuck in my ear, which I shouldn't have.
Which you usually don't tell him about.
And then I sit there and push my hair back. My hair's been cut again lately, so it's not shaggy.
His hair grows really, really fast.
But I sit there and then have to remember my props are stuck in my. I always open up with everything stuck behind me, but then we say that everything is all ready for us to shoot because the man. See, I'm not directing anymore. I become talent. When I become talent, the young guy behind the camera tells us when we're ready to go, and he says, I'm talked enough and it's time to start the show.
And I always, of course, likes to mix things up just to surprise them a little bit.
Well, it drives them crazy because they don't know what happens either. So. Well, it's just, we're not scripted. We have no scripts on anything that we do. There's nothing.
Well, that's true because, I mean, we might have a few notes.
Notes, and that's it because...
But we sit there and talk about it and discuss it. So that's why when you listen to the responses...
Yeah, sometimes people, they'll ask us, well, why didn't you... Well, it's because we don't have anything to work from except notes. That's
why didn't we what?
Well, why didn't you know more about the person that you were interviewing? Well, because you don't know who you're interviewing until they come up.
That's often the case.
Yeah.
And there's been so many times when I've done like a red carpet or I go to an event, it's like, who is that?
Yeah.
What have they been in? Right? And so, based on that information, you're trying to...
But you ask down the line who these people are. Honestly, we went to a function once, and this little, actually, I can't call her an anorexic little teenager walked by. Oops, I lost the stuff out of my back. But because it's not meant to keep there for long. And her mother came by, and she said, "Doesn't anybody want to talk to my daughter?" And then one of the photographers felt sorry. He said, "Okay, bring her back." And
if I had known she was there, I would have interviewed her.
But it was Hillary Duff.
I know. I would have. I didn't know. First of all, I didn't know she was there because sometimes when you're talking to people right here, other people go by. Yeah. You're trying not to be rude to the person in front of you, but sometimes the person going by is really more important, and you'd rather be talking to them.
Yeah.
So,
we've actually
so it helps actually to have somebody else there to grab the person.
Yeah, but we have lost big interviews simply because the fact we didn't want to stop what we were doing, and the person that we needed to talk to simply went on. But but nobody recognized Hillary Duff because she shrank in size. She had dark hair and dressed like a mouse.
Well, and sometimes they tell you who they are before they get there, and a lot of times you have no clue.
That's why you go down the line. You go right down the line, ask, does anybody know who that person is? And finally, somebody who's actually did the interview. The person generally work in teams of two when you do these things, even if you're writing print, because the other person can sit there and go down. Oh, yeah, that's the guy from Dexter. Oh, that's Ramar. Okay, James Ramar. Now we've got, and then I sit there and try. If I know who it is, and it's not somebody that's from the from the 2000s, I simply can jam it in my head. I don't.
Well, that's one of the reasons. It's like I've been doing a lot of things out there by myself and with other friends, but I do like to take Oldecam when he's available because he knows so much about so many different things.
But I don't do gifting suites.
No, that's true. You don't do gifting
suites. I do red carpets and I do trade shows. I don't do gifting suites. I did those back when I was a kid, but now I know the man in front says once again.
Okay, we need to get
readjust. So I'll sit there and then you start with your.
Okay. Obama tells everyone that they are going to have to pay for all the wonderful things he is doing.
Well, yeah, he said basically, how did he phrase it? He said that you don't, everybody wants something for nothing. What we're doing is changing the way things are being done in this country. Well, yeah. And that you have to expect to pay for all of the wonderful things that you're going to be getting.
Well, I think part of the challenge, people thought they were all going to get it for free.
Well, that's the whole thing. He thought... And the trick is, the Democrats, for instance, on the new health care proposal, want to tax everybody above an X amount of money, and it's going to be on an increasing. The more money you make, the less money you're going to be able to take home under the new Democratic proposal. And it's supposed to bring in over half the money they need for health care. The problem is that the more you tax, the less money they want to make, so therefore you don't bring in as much money.
Imagine that. I think they forgot that element.
That's right.
Yeah. Because, report Bush surveillance program was massive.
I knew it. I think you knew it.
I knew that.
But it seems for some unknown reason, the press is now discovering that it was a massive surveillance program.
Well, and isn't that all relative?
Yeah.
Now, how is it that they're just discovering it now? And why is it coming out? Is it just because they're trying to justify like that?
Yeah, and it's also got to do with the fact that Nancy Pelosi took her foot and put it in her mouth. And the second reason is because everybody in the business knows they're going to jail Bush. It's just not a matter of if they're going to, it's just a matter of when they're going to bring criminal charges against him.